Did you know?
One research study found that 1 in 4 secondary school students in Trinidad and Tobago have significant depression.
Did you know?
The World Health Organization estimates that 350 million people worldwide are suffering from depression, and youth between the ages of 15 to 29 are more likely to suffer.
Did you also know?
Suicide is the second highest cause of death in people ages 15 to 29.
Do you know what a psychological illness is?
Psychological illness is when your mind is psychologically unstable.
Commonly referred to as a disorder in a person's way of thinking, which also causes a way in a person's behavior. Examples of this could be things such as depression, anxiety, which could also lead to things such as alcoholism, drug use, lifestyle of crime.
Psychological illness is an illness of the mind that cannot be controlled. No one has a say in how they feel and how they think.
People young, or they are sad, but you can never tell.
One, there's been over. 2, sometimes they say, nah, I can't do this, I can't do that. 3, sometimes you might give up.
Stressed, depressed, anxious.
I feel like sometimes you can't tell when someone has a psychological illness. Sometimes they might just be sad for no reason. They might suffer from depression. I'm sure it comes in waves. I can't speak from experience, but
definitely our conversation needs to change in the way in which we address mental illness in Trinidad and Tobago. One of my major issues is the way in which we address those who suffer with mental illness. We have so many derogatory terms that weaken the ego and the self-esteem of those who suffer with it. What do you think are some symptoms that you can identify when dealing with psychological stress, or you could see in your friends or any of your peers?
The first thing that you could point out is changes in moods, constant mood swings. When they constantly want to be in solitude and they don't want to hang out. Even if they do hang out, they overdo it when it comes to drinking or drug abuse.
Right.
They could cause self-harm or harm to others. And also, one of my favorite ones that I like to always point out is they turn to a life of crime. They try to do things to take their mind off of it.
Also their eating habits as well.
Yes, also their eating habits.
Some symptoms of psychological illness would be things like overreacting to situations sometimes, maybe an inability to express yourself the way you want to express yourself, maybe not knowing how to express yourself the way you want to, and having difficulty reacting to certain situations.
the kind of things that make teens feel psychologically distressed could be school, relationships, but platonic and romantic, family life. It could be a number of different things.
A test, exam, like if somebody talk about you, like if somebody want to fight you, and also stuff like that.
I think lots of the pressures that teens and children are under make them psychologically distressed. So things like school, work, things like relationships with our friends and families stress us out a lot. I think at school, the people we interact with affect our psychological health as well.
Going in the dark by themselves and getting lost.
A fudge.
When kids are sad or anxious or frustrated, I think what they need most is someone there who they can talk to, who they can lean on. I know for everyone it's different. Some people might just want alone time, but for me personally, I think I would need somebody there.
So do you ever feel like sometimes your friends are showing signs of being really angry or stressed out?
Yes, sometimes I do.
I think that it's more common than people think it is, because not all psychological illnesses are expressed as or the way others are. So you might notice a psychological illness in someone when they might have it. So I think probably like 2 out of 10 people my age have a psychological illness, but not the 2 out of 10 people would express it.
What must one do if they experience a symptom of psychological illness?
Tell a trusted adult or go to a therapist.
Nice, nice.
Well, my best advice to someone that is currently going through that is the easiest thing to reach out. Talk to a friend, talk to a peer, talk to your family members, because at the end of the day, those are the people that love you best and will always wish the best for you.
Tell a teacher.
Definitely. Both of those are great answers. Yes. How do your friends act when they're angry or stressed out?
Well, usually they get in a fight with other students.
Yeah.
Lots of anger. Always fighting, always getting in trouble, always going to the principal office. Always getting detention.
A lot of the times my peers would shout things, they would use some language that may not be appropriate at the time. A lot of times they aggressively throw things in terms of like books and pens around. But most times it's verbal. They say things they don't mean and they act very aggressively.
Can you give me some insight or your view on what you think is the worst thing that an adult can do when a child is faced with psychological stress?
The worst thing to do is put more pressure on them, make them upset, ignore them, or not take them seriously.
Yeah, I fully agree.
The worst thing an adult can do when a child is feeling psychological distress is come down even hard on them. Pressure them about it, tell them they have nothing to be sad for, nothing to be angry about. I think it's just to acknowledge their pain, acknowledge the hurt, and do their best to cheer them up.
These children can be the best version of themselves. When we harness their talent and their ability, we now have their so-called deficiency a strength, and we now create better children and healthier children who can move forward and be contributing people to society.
It is important to note that the impact of undiagnosed and therefore untreated mental illness is significant. Symptoms can cause poor functioning at a critical time in a child's development and therefore stunt the development of good social and academic skills.
Kids, if you notice any unusual behavior in your peers or parents, if you're seeing that behavior in your children, speak to them or have them speak with a mental health professional.
Some of the symptoms are increased hostility, changes in sleep, changes in appetite, withdrawal, increased aggressive behaviors, changes in the way children interact with their peers and with adults, and definitely also changes in academic performance. These are some of the red flags.
Their parents.
Their friends. Be each other's keeper. Please